Hello everyone, this is ex-Bethelite 937-789-4029. If you weren't already aware, there were some technical difficulties with this particular YouTube channel, but I do have another one that has quite a few videos on it. It's under Wallkill Bethelite. So if you look up Wallkill Bethelite on YouTube, then it'll take you to that. I want to talk about my father. My biological father was not a Jehovah's Witness, but he lived a couple hours away from Wallkill, Bethel. He lived in New Jersey, and that's the Lawrenceville, Trenton area of New Jersey. And I was trying very, very hard to get him to study, to get him to become a Jehovah's Witness. I would try to talk up the organization anytime I could. Since he lived so close, I got to spend a lot more time with him than I was able to when I lived in Ohio. Because when I lived in Ohio, I'm like 9-10 hours away from him. Now I'm just 2 hours away from him. So needless to say, I would try to go and visit as much as I could. I would try to invite him to come there to see me so I could show him around the facilities as much as I could. And something inside of me thought that part of me being at Bethel could be Jehovah's way of kind of helping my father to come into the religion, come into the fold. And time after time after time, when I would run into an issue with my car, with other things that I may have needed, I kept having to go to my father for those things. So it's making the organization kind of look, not that great, because they got an auto shop. So why does he have to drive 2 hours to Wallkill to come work on this or that with regards to my vehicle, or to come and get me a little cell phone so that when I'm driving 45 minutes to my congregation was in Poughkeepsie, driving 45 minutes to my congregation and 45 minutes back. I believe it was 45 minutes. You guys can Google that to find out. From Wallkill, 800 Red Mills Road to Poughkeepsie, New York. I got to figure out exactly what the congregation address was, but it was East Poughkeepsie congregation in Poughkeepsie, New York. Figure out what the distance was. So while I'm driving, anything happened with my car, Wallkill is very remote. You're away from a lot of different things. So something happened with my car shuts down, breaks down, whatever the case may be. What then? What then when you have no cell phone, you have no way of contacting anybody? So, needless to say, he thought that was a common sense thing. I hadn't thought of it. And apparently the organization hadn't given it much thought. We got Bethelites, we're sending them who knows how far to their congregations. Anything happens, they get into an accident, anything happens, they're kind of stuck. You think Jehovah's organization would have an arrangement or have thought about it at least. He was the one that came through with regard to things like that. So when the layoff happened, and it happened to me the way that it happened, where I have 2 days and there's people putting my things in boxes. That's offensive in and of itself. They didn't just drop off the boxes. They're putting my things in the boxes and taking it to my car and essentially saying, drop off your keys and dwelling manual. Well, who's left picking up after Watchtower? Again, my father is left picking up Watchtower's mess. Because here I am, stuff piled all up in my car, no place to go. I drive to where he is, and, you know, I don't know if my car would make it driving all the way to Ohio, a 9-hour drive. You know, I'm distraught, I'm stressed out, hadn't eaten much, you know what I mean, just in bad shape. And when he finds out, because I've got to explain to him what happened, when he finds out, the possibility, and it was a remote possibility, but the possibility of him joining the Jehovah's Witnesses, him studying because he's impressed by the organization and the way the organization treats people, was done. It was over with. My father lived 2 hours away from Bethel and saw how I was treated on a regular basis. There was no way he was going to join the organization. He wasn't going to study. And a lot of that is Bethel's fault. There's no way around that. There's no way around that. There's no, you have a situation where, you know, your son goes to serve this religion at their religious headquarters. And the next thing you know, he's got his stuff packed up. He's in the car with no place to go or anything. Nothing to show for years. Nothing to show for it at all. And you look at that situation, and unless the person did something wrong, you know, he's out there banging guys, or he's out there sneaking girls in, or something like that, unless he's done something to kind of rectify what the organization did, you have a disconnect there, where a rationally thinking person is looking at this like, who would do something like that to somebody? Why would they do something like that? Why would they do it, period, let alone, you know, have layoffs at a religious headquarters, period, let alone toss people out the way that they toss people out. Keep in mind, Bethel did not know that my father lived a couple hours away. They didn't know. I didn't tell them that. They didn't know that. I didn't come from there. I came from Ohio. So they didn't know that I even had any place to go that was 2 hours away. Let that sink in. How am I going to now get my father to join this religion? So I'm left thinking, why would the one organization that Jehovah is going to use and the expanding a global preaching work, why is that organization having layoffs? You know, end of the world right around the corner. You know, you would think that the work would be speeding up, that you would need more Bethelites there. You would have more printing. You would need more support. The organization would be growing. No, it's the opposite. So the question, you know, remains, how could something so powerful that it is being directly used by God be having huge layoffs? And two, it's not even humane. That is inhumane to take someone who, you know, doesn't have a job, hadn't been getting paid, doesn't have anything, and just toss them out like, see ya. Not a thank you for your service, not a anything. that is something that I don't think has happened in the history of religion until Jehovah's Witnesses come. So I've got to figure all this stuff out. Now I also have to figure out, why would Jehovah arrange things in a way in which now my father has no way of joining? So according to, my JW thinking at the time, I'm trying to get him into the new system. I'm trying to get him into paradise. I want him to be able to join, live through Armageddon, be in paradise. We live together forever happily. I'm trying to achieve that. And now, directly because of the organization, there's no way on earth he's going to join now. It was a long shot in the beginning because I don't know how much he knew, but he knew about the organization prior. He hadn't been a member or anything, but he knew about the organization prior. So I don't know how much he knew. I knew however much he knew, it was a long shot, and it was very difficult to try to get him, to convince him to try to get him to join. But then Bethel destroys any opportunity for him or anybody on that side of the family to ever join. So the concept for me to be able to possibly think that, yes, Bethel tossed me out with my things in boxes, but maybe Jehovah wanted me to go to my father's in New Jersey and destroy any opportunity for him to ever become a member. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So you're looking at it and you're trying to think, okay, if God is using this organization, he in some way had a hand in this. Because if God is able to create the entire universe, you think he'd be able to run one organization. Created everything on the planet, all the animals, the vegetation, the insects, countless stars and galaxies. You think he'd be able to run one organization. So if I'm being tossed out, he'd be aware of it. It's the only organization he's running, he'd be aware of it. It's not like he'd be confused because he's trying to run 10 different, he's running one organization on Earth at least. So he would be aware of it and would have allowed it. For him to allow it, it would have had to have been in some way, shape, or form according to his will if his organization is involved in it. When I say involved in it, I don't mean something going on at a local congregation. People can, they shouldn't, but they try to dismiss things that happen at a local congregation by saying, well, the organization, that doesn't really represent the organization itself. That's just a person at a local congregation or a group of people at different congregations. It doesn't represent the actual organization headquartered in Bethel, New York, or at Bethel in New York. But this was done by Bethel. This isn't something that you can just sweep under the rug as, oh, that doesn't represent the organization. Oh, it's just a mix-up. Oops. There's no oops if you have God, Almighty God, directing one organization. And the headquarters at the time only had 3 facilities, Wallkill, Patterson, and Brooklyn. You think God would be able to run just 3 facilities to where people aren't getting tossed out with no time to make any arrangements or no place to go or anything or no food or no money or no gas, anything. That is a disaster, and it is inhumane, and it has not happened in our modern history with respects to dedicated members working at the higher ups or headquarters at any religious organization. So that's a hard pill to swallow, because I'm trying to make sense out of all this. So now I'm in New Jersey, with my father, and he sees what happened, and he's there. He knows there's no one sent to kind of check on me or anything. As far as congregations go, I go out and I do all that myself. Try to figure out where the closest congregation is, and I do all that myself. So he's there, and he sees the entire time I was there. Even after I found a congregation in that area, nobody ever came to visit or anything like that. So you got an organization that is so cold that they are just tossing people out on the street. Their members don't get visits. I didn't, It looked bad. It looked bad. It didn't just look bad. It was bad. How would you explain this? I've heard Jehovah's Witnesses make all kinds of excuses. Now, any other religion, had they done it, then yeah, it'd been in a watchtower, and it'd been, see, we told you, they're Babylon the Great, they're Christendom, they're bad, See, we told you, they don't practice what they preach. Well, now that Jehovah's Witnesses have done it, living proof that they did it. I'm living proof sitting right here that they did it. It's, oh, well, Jehovah will take care of it. Oh, well, it'll get fixed in a new system. Oh, well, Jehovah had some kind of plan that we just didn't understand. What is there to not understand about, okay, now there's no way my relatives that aren't a part of the organization are going to join because they're just 2 hours away and they see all of this. I'd like to hear somebody's explanation or excuse for that. Oh, something's going to happen and Jehovah's going to just make your father forget that he saw how the organization treats people. I want to hear what you have to say. 937-789-4029. If you left a message, I'm going to try to get back to you. So if you get a call, from me, it's because I went through my voicemail and, hit return call. But yeah, I want to know the answers to all of these things. You know what I mean? I'm not just talking about it just to hear myself talk. These are things that nobody has answers to. And I've talked to elders, I've talked to circuit overseers, I talk to people in general, and no person has got answers to anything that's happened. They can't even rationalize that an organization led by God did all this stuff. The only answer that they supply is just forget about it, move on type of a thing. No, we're not going to forget about it, because a tree by its fruits. If you got a tree and it's growing poisonous fruit, you don't forget about it. You chop that tree down, or you figure out what in the world is happening or something. The fruit coming off the tree that is planted in my backyard is poison. The fruits, by their fruits you will recognize them. So you don't just forget their fruits and move on. No, you figure out what's going on here. And based off of that, you now can recognize, their character. So the whole side of the family that was 2 hours away from Bethel that could see all this, there was no way. Because people can't explain it to me. They could not explain it to me, and I was a member so dedicated that I went to Bethel, and they couldn't explain it to me. So how are they going to explain it to somebody who was skeptical from the start? So I guess at that time, I'm looking at it as Bethel has stumbled my family. Not the family that were members. A lot of the family that were members, a lot of the people in general that were members, this doesn't, of course, speak to everyone, but a lot of the people that are members are willing to sweep anything under the rug. They don't care what the organization does. They could throw people out on the street. They could have over 1,000 unreported child molestation cases being handled by the Australian Royal Commission. They will sweep anything that their organization does under the rug, while they will put a magnifying glass over any other church or religion and try to find something wrong with them. That's being a hypocrite. That is being a hypocrite. Your religion is throwing people out on the street, and you're trying to find something wrong with some other religion. So a lot of the people that are witnesses on my end, they don't really care that much. But as far as the people who were not, okay, well, now they're stumbled, and there's no way that they're going to ever join. Bethelite, again, 937-789-4029. Please let me know how this was a part of Jehovah's plan and how I was not supposed to start thinking when things like that happen. Questioning. How are you not supposed to start questioning when things like that occur? Again, ex-Walk Hill Bethelite, Marcus, by the way, as my name is Marcus. I know I say ex-Walk Hill Bethelite because technically I am. But again, my name is Marcus, so you give me a call, you shoot me a text, you know what my name is. That's it for now. Signing out.